What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 76. We got Sean Strickland going against Abus Magomedov.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back talking some DraftKings this week, breaking down a 12-fight card. We are back in the Apex. And yeah, I actually really like this card from a DraftKings perspective. I think there's a lot of clear fights that you need to target. I think there's a lot of very good options up top as well. So yeah, looking forward to this card, looking forward to breaking it down, and looking forward to hopefully making some money for UFC Vegas 76. Before we get into it, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. That is always much appreciated. Also appreciate if you check out dfsbythenumbers.com. There you will find a lot of content that you do not see on YouTube. You got the DFS article that just got dropped today. On my fighter stats, you see Fridays and Saturdays, the targets, projections, ownership projections, the rankings. Got prize picks on there now. Got the optimizer on there. So be sure to check that out. Tons and tons of content on dfsbythenumbers.com. Best way to support me there. Other than that, be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. If you guys have not already, use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And then I'll touch on my favorite Underdog play later in the video. And then one last thing, going to be doing some prize picks content as well, and that'll be dropping. I'm looking for every Thursday for some prize picks. You guys asked for it, so be on the lookout for some prize picks breakdowns every Thursday. So glad to add that to the channel. But yeah, guys, I said we get into it. Lots to talk about. We're going to kick off with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. We got two really big ones here, and we're going to start with Joanderson Brito going against Weston Wilson. We have the fight doesn't go anywhere from minus 600. I see to some books like minus 750, minus 800. I mean, this is a fight that is heavily expected to win inside the distance. I think it's a matchup where we got one of the biggest mismatches I've ever seen, to be honest. Like Joanderson Brito on some books, he's like minus 1400 I saw. And it's been only getting wider throughout the week. So, Brito is expected to go out there, not only win this fight, but win this fight very early. His first round prop is like minus 200, which is just wild. Like, it's something you just don't see often at all. I can't remember the last time I saw a first round prop sitting at minus 200. And this is it's not like it's a heavyweight fight. I mean, this is a featherweight fight. So, but yeah, I expect Brito to go out there and finish Wilson. I think Brito has takedown upside if he wants it, but I think he can go out there and knock this guy out, and I think he has 60-second bonus as well. So I'm on the Brito side. Weston Wilson, he's dangerous. It's a tough ask for him to come in here and beat a guy like Joanderson Brito. So I'm on the Brito side, not going to play much Wilson this week. Next we have Bruno Ferreira going against Nursultan Rozabayev. Where the fight doesn't go anywhere from minus 550 to like minus 650. Another fight that's heavily favored to end inside the distance. Ferreira, as far as I'm concerned, never seen a third round. Rozabayev's last like 8 fights have finished inside the very first round. So yeah, another very violent fight here. And we have Ferreira 8,400, Rozabayev 7,800. I am more so on the Ferreira side myself. And I think if he does win, it is going to be by finish and is going to score very well. But Rozabayev at 7,800, I think, is a very intriguing dog because he's a finisher, because he's so dangerous, because there's a lot of unknowns about the guy as well. So it's a fight you definitely want to play both sides here. I'm more so on the Ferreira side, but Rozabayev is a live dog with some serious upside as well. Moving on, we got Ismael Bonfim going against Benoit Saint-Denis. So this 9K range, I'm not really in love with this week outside of Joanderson Brito. So I'm going to stay away from the 9K range for the most part. Actually, I like a lot of fighters in this 8,000 range. I think it's completely stacked this week. Bonfim's a guy that I think he could score decently, but he's not going to go out there and take down Benoit Saint-Denis. I don't think he finishes Benoit Saint-Denis, at least early on. So at 9,200, if you're not getting that early finish, if you're not getting any takedowns wrestling, I don't see myself getting to a ton of Ismael Bonfim. If anything, it's probably going to be some Benoit Saint-Denis at 7,000 here. Somebody with wrestling upside, grappling upside, finishing upside. I mean, this guy has a ton of submissions on his record, and that's kind of what Bonfim struggled with, at least earlier in his career. So for me, it's Benoit Saint-Denis in this fight. From a DraftKings perspective, I think Bonfim probably does win, but I just don't know if I love the upside of Bonfim this week. And he's going to be fairly high on, you got to imagine, as well. And then we got Alexander Romanov going against Blagoy Ivanov. Just a ridiculous fight here that's probably going to have to be targeted. A fight that probably finishes, especially if Alexander Romanov comes in here in terrible shape like he did last time against Volkov. He came in there with like 1 minute of cardio, and if that's the case here, maybe he goes out there and finishes Blagoy Ivanov, and if not, maybe he gets finished late. So another good fight to target here. It's definitely a sketchy fight that I don't know, anything can happen here, but it's a fight that probably does score well at these price tags, whether it's Romanov with takedown upside, first round finish upside, or it's Blagoy Ivanov getting like a second or third round finish. I think Romanov definitely does have more upside, but like I said, if Romanov comes in here looking like crap like he did last time, I think Ivanov could get him out of there for sure. Getting to our core plays, speaking of Joe Anderson, Brito, 9,600, very expensive. I was kind of thinking they would price him at like 9,700 or 9,800 because they've been doing that a little bit more as of late, like pricing these fighters at like 9,700. That's not the case, and it's kind of weird because Joe Anderson Brito is literally like minus 1,400 on a lot of books. So only 9,600, which kind of seems like a steal for Joe Anderson Brito, a guy that has serious first round finishing upside. I mean, the guy's like has like a 66% probability to finish this fight in the very first round. I mean, that cannot be ignored. So I'm sure a lot of people might try to fade him because of the price tag, but I mean, I don't really recommend doing that. I mean, this guy has some serious upside this week. I think he can put up 110, 120 or more. Multiple knockdowns, 60-second bonus. I mean, I think it's all in play for this fight. So let me some Joe Anderson Brito. I'm going to have a ton of them. Fade at your own risk. Grant Dawson, 8,000 going against Damir Ismagulov. I like Grant Dawson to win this fight. Narrative aside, Dawson, if he does win this fight, if he does pull it off, he's going to get a lot of takedowns. He's going to get a lot of control time. The guy loves to finish fights in the third round. So yeah, I think if Grant Dawson wins this fight at 8,000, I think that's a very solid price tag for him with the wrestling upside he brings to the table. And then yeah, Damir Ismagulov, apparently he retired. He's coming back for this fight. It's the last fight on his contract. He's been battling a lot of injuries, and just another reason I do like Dawson here. Even if Damir Ismagulov does win this fight, which is it's very possible. Damir Ismagulov, I don't think he has anywhere near the same upside as a Grant Dawson. Damir's not going to wrestle here. Damir is not going to finish Dawson, at least early on. I think if Damir wins this fight, it's probably because he stuffs takedowns, keeps it on the feet, and picks apart Dawson from range, and that's just not going to score well. I think Dawson has all the upside here from a Draftkings perspective, and that's why I like him a lot at 8K. Bruno Ferreira, 8,400, a guy with a 100% finish rate. I'm not sold on this newcomer, Rozabayev. He's not fought the best competition. He has 45 fights. There's like no reckonable names on there. Bruno Ferreira, black belt in BJJ, hits like an absolute truck. I think Bruno Ferreira goes out there and gets a finish. Love the price tag of 8,400. Melissa Gatto, 8,700, going against Ariana Lipski. I think Gatto has finishing upside wherever this fight goes, especially if this fight gets to the mat. If Melissa Gatto gets on top of Lipski, it's a wrap. We saw what Matana De La Rosa was able to do to Lipski. We saw what the bad Antonina Shevchenko was able to do to Lipski. If Gatto gets one takedown, I think it's over. If Gatto ends up on her back, I think Gatto submits Lipski from her back. I mean, Gatto's super dangerous on the mat especially, but even on the feet, she has a lot of power. So I like Gatto here, 8,700. I think she finishes Lipski, especially if this fight gets down to the mat. I think she kind of runs through her. Getting into our GBP plays here. Tournament plays, Renat Fakhreddinov, a guy that I really like this week. 8,800 going against Kevin Lee. It's a big step up in competition, but you take a look at Renat, like this guy is going to wrestle and do that a lot. I mean, he racked up like 14 minutes, more than 14 minutes of control time against Brian Battle in his last fight, in a 15-minute fight. Kevin Lee is going to be undersized for the division. He's going to be smaller in this fight. I expect Renat to use his size, use his wrestling, and just rack up a ton of takedowns, control time across 3 rounds. So Renat is a very good play this week. The only thing that worries me is this is a big step up in competition. Kevin Lee is not Brian Battle or Andreas Michailidis, but if Fakhreddinov does get it done, I expect him to put up one of the biggest scores on the slate. Next, we got Alexander Romanov, 8,300. And almost impossible to trust the guy, but Alexander Romanov has a ton of upside. Early takedown upside. I mean, if it turns out he can take down Ivanov, get on top of him and pound him out or submit him. First round finish. I mean, he can go out there and break the slate at 8,300. So his sum would arrive. I do have my concerns with the cardio if this fight does reach the second round, but that's not why you're playing Romanov. You're playing him for that first round upside. He has multiple first round finishes in the UFC, even has a second round finish in the UFC. So yeah, Romanov is somebody that has a ton of upside if he comes in here prepared and in shape, because last fight he just wasn't. So we'll see what he looks like on the scales, and that's going to determine how much Romanov I do want in my lineups this week. Sean Strickland, 8,500. So yeah, I don't mind Strickland here. I like the price tag of Magomedov a little bit more. We'll talk about him for sure. But yeah, Sean Strickland, if he wins this fight, probably no wrestling at all. Probably even no finish. If there's a finish, it's probably late. But what you can't expect from Sean Strickland is just a ton of volume across 25 minutes. And if Sean Strickland does win this fight, like I said, decision or even a late finish, I think he's going to score probably over 100 points just because he does throw and land so much volume across the 25 minutes. So I don't mind Sean Strickland, 8,500, but I do prefer the price savings of Abus Magomedov, who we'll touch on soon. And then we got Karol Rosa, somebody that I think is going to obviously be the lowest owned fighter on the page here. But yeah, Karol Rosa, I think she has a lot of upside in this matchup, actually. I mean, she throws a ton of volume on the feet. She's landing almost 6 significant strikes per minute. I think she has takedown upside here. Yana Santos, terrible takedown defense, no get-up game. I think Karol Rosa can mix in takedowns. And then on the feet, I think she's going to have a field day. So Karol Rosa, 8,600, very low owned, very sneaky play here with some very sneaky upside as well. All right, getting into my underdog play, my favorite play of the week. If you guys have not used that promo code at DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus on Underdog, really recommend it. Lots of plays sticking out this week even. But my favorite play is Joanderson Brito lower on the 1.5 takedowns. I think he can just go out there and knock him out, or I think you could take him down and finish him shortly after. It'd really surprise me if Brito took him down, Wilson got back up, and Brito took him down again. I mean, I don't really see that happening. I think it's one takedown, the fight's over, or just simply knock him out and get no takedown. So I'm taking the lower on the Joanderson Brito takedowns. That's my favorite play of the week. If you guys want to check it out, use that promo code at DFSBTN, Underdog Fantasy. Check it out. Highly recommend. Moving on to our live dogs here. We got a decent amount of them this week. We'll go with Ivanov, 7,900. Survive the first round, or if Romanov comes in terrible shape, survive the first 60 seconds, and then he probably takes over and either wins a decision or a late finish. If he does end up getting that decision, he probably does not score well, but if Romanov is in terrible shape, he could very well finish him like late first round, second round, third round, and put up a very respectable score at 7,900. So I think Romanov has a ton more upside, but Blagoy Ivanov is a very, very live dog, I'd say, this week. Abus Magomedov, 7,700. I like the price savings here. We got a 5-round fight to work with. Abus is very, very dangerous, very early on. The guy rarely fights, but when he does, the fight ends quickly. If there's any wrestling in this fight whatsoever, it's going to come from the Magomedov side. And I guess worst case scenario, he probably loses a decision here or gets finished late. So yeah, I don't mind Abus Magomedov. I like him in cash. I like him in tournaments. I think he's a very, very good play this week. I'm actually picking Sean Strickland to kind of weather early storm and win a decision here, but I think there's a lot more upside in this matchup on DraftKings for someone like Abus Magomedov, somebody with the takedown upside, somebody with a very early finish upside, whereas Sean Strickland's not finishing anybody early especially. So from a DraftKings perspective, I do prefer the savings with Abus Magomedov here. Next, we got Nursultan Rozabayev, 7,800. Very dangerous guy. Very good submissions. I don't really like his chances, but it's just there's this unknown factor about Rozabayev. Like, we don't know a ton about this guy. This guy could be very, very good, or this guy could be very, very bad. I mean, the level of competition's not great, but he's very experienced, like 45 fights for the guy. This guy has like a 90% finish rate. He's a finisher, so he's somebody that I don't know, kind of a weird fight here, but he's somebody I think you have to play some of at least. But I am on the Ferreira side myself, but I don't think this guy can be ignored just because he is very dangerous, and it is a fight that is heavily favored to finish. And then I threw Luana Carolina in there. Why not? 7,300. I think she's a live dog. If she's able to stuff the takedowns, keep this on the feet, I think she can win this fight by decision. I don't see her finishing Petrovic. I don't see her getting takedowns in this fight. So I don't know if she has a ton of upside, but she's somebody that I think is a very live dog this week. Pump plays. Benoit Saint Denis, 7,000. We touched on him a little bit. Like, I like the price tag. He's a guy that is going to wrestle. He's a guy that is very tough. He's a guy that does have a very good submission game. Bonfim, he's been submitted 3 times. Yes, those submission losses were like 9-10 years ago, but still, he's been submitted 3 times nonetheless. So yeah, I don't hate some shots on Benoit Saint Denis. I think this line's kind of ridiculous to begin with. I think Bonfim probably does win the fight, probably does stuff the takedowns. He is going to be the better striker. But if Benoit Saint Denis gets us down to the mat, it is going to be very, very interesting. And at 7K, I think is worth some looks this week. And then fades. Yeah, there's a couple in this 9K range I don't really like. Like, I don't really like Bonfim, I don't really like Michael Morales here, and I really don't even like Guram Kudataladze. Like, Guram is a guy that I think he obviously wins the fight, but is he going to take down Brenner? No, why would he do that? I think he's going to strike with him, and for Guram to score more than Brito, he's going to have to finish him in the first round. I just don't see it. I think Brito outscores all these guys, and like I said, I think this 8K range is stacked, that I don't really like the 9K range this week outside of Brito. So Michael Morales, I don't think there's going to be much offensive wrestling from the guy against Max Griffin. I don't really think he finishes Max Griffin, who's only been knocked out once in his entire career. I think this is a close and competitive fight even. At 9,000, I just don't like the price tag there. I know he's been going out there. He knocked out Trevin Giles in the first round. He knocked out Adam Fugit in the third round. But this is just a big step up in competition. So I'm going to be fading Michael Morales for the most part. And like I said, I'm not going to have much Bonfim or Guram Kudataladze as well. But it will have a ton of Brito this week. And then a lot of these 8K guys as well. But yep, that is about it. Should be a very interesting slate this week. A very fun slate. I love this card from a DraftKings perspective especially. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe on your way out. I'll be live Friday for the Final Thought stream, and then live once again Saturday for the Best Bet stream. Check out Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code DFSBTN. Be on the lookout for some prize picks content as well. And as always, best of luck, guys, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.